I don't think they're going to be the favorites in the NFC if they get Sam Darnold. How do you feel about Sam Darnold?
I like Sam Darnold personally. I think it's really hard to evaluate him. I think that the Jets have just they've dealt him probably the worst hand that could have been dealt to a quarterback. I mean, they have no offensive line, no weapons. Adam Gase is a disaster. But I think yeah, I think they have to move on. I think they kind of have to move on. I think that it's kind of just ran its course. And honestly, for Sam Darnold, I kind of hope that they do, and that he is able to get out of there and get a fresh start. Um, but yeah, I think that would be interesting. That also kind of seems like a lateral move. I don't know how much of an upgrade he'd be over Jimmy G. But I don't know. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting for sure.
So as you saw, Drew Brees just retired, right? Obviously, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play football, and did a lot for that city and just a lot for that team, right? So
Mhm.
incredible career. Not a surprise that he retired at all because he looked broken down in that game against the Bucs. He just did. Like the injuries looked like they really piled up on him. He couldn't really throw any sort of deep ball, and look, now he's going to go into NBC broadcasting, so I think he's going to be pretty good at that too, because I think he has a great knowledge of the game and he's a good speaker. So I think he'll be good there. But
Absolutely.
I look at the Saints quarterback situation, and I think it's Jameis's to lose. And I think with Jameis, this could be a great chance to turn around his career in a positive direction because he's got a lot of talent, but he's got a lot of decision-making issues. Again, he had 30 picks in the last time he was a starter, but he also threw 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards within that season. So a
Mhm.
lot of talent, but poor decision-making. Do you think that Jameis Winston can turn his career around with Sean Payton as his head coach in New Orleans?
I agree. I think it's his position to lose, and I think we've talked a lot about Kyle Shanahan and his play calling ability, and I think Sean Payton's right up there with him. So I think that if there's I don't think there's really a better situation for him to walk into. They have obviously their salary cap is a disaster. So how they plan to figure that out, I don't know. But their own line's good. Obviously, having Kamara and having Michael Thomas and having a style of offense that obviously the last year or two, Drew Brees changed a lot, but was typically trying to push the ball down the field and get it into playmakers' hands. I think that he could. I think it's his best shot to at least. I think it's his best shot to at least.
Let's talk a little bit about earlier free agent signings because I didn't get a chance anyone to kind of talk about this. So I want to talk about Carson Wentz to Indianapolis, which I talked a little bit about with one of my buddies that was on the show. But the thing I get from it, right, is that it was the most logical choice for Carson Wentz because Frank Reich is a guy who has worked with him in the past, had success with him in the past, right? Carson Wentz had his best season as a pro with Frank Reich as his offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
I don't see him coming back to be an MVP. I'm not a hater on Carson Wentz. It's just he had such a poor year last year. Could be a mixture of all things because the previous year in 2019, he actually was very good.
Yeah.
I think just the thing with me is that he needs to. I think just his confidence level and his decision making need to be just brought back a little bit more, like built back up. I
Mhm.
think he's going to be a good quarterback for them because I think over time, because I think Frank will get him more confident. And I think the big problem with him is he holds the football on too long. And I
Mhm.
think Frank's because he tries to gunsling a lot. And I think
Mhm.
Frank's gonna be like, look, make the easy play, then we'll go to the gunsling. Because I don't know how you feel about Carson Wentz, and then does he make? I think the Colts are a playoff team with him. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender though.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I think that it's the same thing with Jameis. Like it's his best chance for success. I think that you mentioned Frank Wright, and they're going to try and get the ball out of his hands quickly. Their own line's really good. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor had a monster rookie year last year, and getting Marlon Mack back is just kind of a little bonus for that. But yeah, I think like he's going to put him in positions to succeed. And I think you said it best. Like I think it was a lot to do mentally with why he struggled last year. Um, so it'll be good that he's with a familiar face and having that structure of offense that they have, good O line, good running game, being able to utilize the play action, hopefully get the ball out of his hands quickly. And if he can be solid, like again, the Colts are a playoff team, absolutely. I mean, they were last year with Philip Rivers, and I would expect. I mean, Philip Rivers had a pretty good year last year, pretty solid, but I'd expect Carson Wentz to play at or around that level. And if he does, I think that they're a playoff team again.
Let's talk a little bit about before I get into the Matthew Stafford deal, which obviously was huge. I
Yeah.
want to talk about what you thought about. Look, Dak Prescott. got the second highest contract of any quarterback in the NFL, and he's guaranteed the most amount of money because look, Jerry Jones has the amount of money to pay these guys a lot of money, right? He's built a great brand, right? You can argue that, you can argue his decision making in terms of how he spends it, but he's built a great brand as an owner, right? So he's able to spend that money.
Mm-hmm.
I think, look, if Dak Prescott, I think, is going to come back. I think he's still going to be a good, top 10, 11 quarterback in the NFL. He might be higher on some people's list, but I mean, he's around that for me. And he helps the Cowboys definitely. I think their defense still is very suspect, even with Dan Quinn, because their defense was just historically bad last year.
Yeah.
So I see them, I see possibly win the NFC East and then bouncing out in the first round. That's what I know, normal Cowboys football. And I'm not blaming Dak for that, but he does give them the best chance to win, I think, at quarterback at this moment, because you're not going to get Russell Wilson coming in the door. And I think, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. What are your thoughts about the deal?
I agree. And I got a couple hot takes on the Cowboys. I haven't really made any yet. But one, I mean, Jerry Jones really screwed this up. Should have paid Dak 2 years ago, would have gotten him a lot cheaper. And I mean, good for Dak. And dude bet on himself and cashed in big time. And I'm happy for Dak because he seems like a great dude. But and he messed up. They have their cap space is ridiculous, and they should trade Zeke. They should trade Ezekiel Elliot. Because I think that they have to invest in the defense and they don't have the resources to. And if you're going to pick between the trio of him, Dak, and Amari, who you're going to pay, Dak and Amari have to be at the top of that over Zeke. And you have to value those positions over Zeke. So I would trade Zeke if I were them. I think that they need defensive help. Badly, but they just don't have the funds to do it. Happy for Dak. I think that he'll come back, and I think he'll be a top 5 to 7 quarterback in the league.
If you like that clip, subscribe to Shred Takes podcasts for more content and videos uploaded on this channel.